Hi, my name is Nicholas. Welcome to this week's Hatha practice. For props for today, a couple hard blocks and a soft block will be handy, and then anything else you like to practice with. When you're ready, I'll invite you to get started down on the back so you can come and find any comfortable shape. I'm going to set up in a butterfly shape, so if you want to also have your hard blocks nearby, then go for it. If for any reason being on the back doesn't work, you can come to a child's pose or a seated meditation. Otherwise, any comfortable shape on your back, using any of the props that you have around to help you settle in. Find a comfy spot for the arms. Make sure the head and neck feel comfortable. As you do feel ready, come and find your stillness here. And quiet down the body, and close down the eyes or soften the gaze. From this place of quiet and stillness, gently invite the breath to start to deepen. With each inhale, exploring a sense of spaciousness in the body. With each exhale, grounding, softening. Choosing stillness for as long as it serves you. And when you feel ready to move, you can reach down and gently guide the knees back together if you're in butterfly. If you're somewhere else, you can join us on the back as you're ready. Taking the feet wide, the knees together, pausing here for a few breaths, maybe hands somewhere on the body. You can stay here longer, or as you're ready, collect the knees into the chest. You can wrap the arms around the shins, give yourself a rock side to side, or you could take a knee in each hand and maybe circle the legs a few times each direction. Awesome. When you're ready, we'll sit up happy baby so you can reach between the knees, catch hold of the ankles, the shins, or the feet. And you might start to point the feet up towards the ceiling, but it's still early in practice, so it may not be as deep an expression as you'd find near the end of practice. Take a moment to check in with the low back here, make sure it feels adequately supported, and you could experiment with sliding your soft block underneath the hips for a little extra support. And choose movement, maybe a rock side to side, or you can come straight to stillness here. Awesome. If you're in happy baby, you can gently release the feet down to the floor. And then move any props out of the way. Take the feet nice and wide apart. And then let both knees drop down towards the right. See what this feels like. If you need to pad either knee with a block, then go for it. If this feels like plenty of a stretch in the body, then you can stay here. You could also experiment with lifting that right foot, placing it on the left thigh. Mindful of the knees, the ankles, the hips. Make sure it feels like a pain-free expression. And take a few deep breaths here. If the right foot's lifted, you can lower it down and then bring the knees up to center. You can reset the feet if needed, and then let both knees come down towards the left. This side might feel different. It might need a different expression or different support. And again, if you'd like to take it a little deeper, left foot lifts over the right thigh. And gently lower that left foot back down, and then lift the knees up and gently windshield wiper side to side a few times. Awesome. The next time the knees come down towards the right, you can roll onto the right side and then pause here for a couple of breaths. With the support of the hands, as you're ready, make your way up to a tabletop position. And setting the hands up roughly underneath the shoulders, the knees roughly underneath the hips. You can work with palms flat to the floor. You could also work from a fist or with blocks if that feels better for the wrists. You can work with just the legs for this, or you can do opposite arm and leg. We'll start off by extending the right leg out behind. You might check in with the hips, see that they stay relatively level to one another. If you're doing the arm, take the left arm forward. Either way, deep inhale, and then round in, knee to chest. Inhale, extend, and round. 5 more with your breath. Last couple, nice and slow. Final one. And take an inhale and stretch. And then lower left hand, right knee. If you need a little shakeout, go for it. And then when you're ready, we'll extend that left leg behind. Check in here, hips relatively level. Maybe right arm reaches forward. Deep inhale. And knee to elbow, exhale. And then keep going. Your whole inhale to stretch. Your whole exhale to curl in. Last 3. And take a deep inhale, stretch. And then lower the hand and the knee. And take the knees a little bit wider, send the hips to the heels, and then lower the chest for child's pose. And choosing any expression of the shape, adding any props for support. And find your stillness here for a few deep breaths. Only when you feel ready to move again, gently bring yourself up to a tabletop position. And locate your blocks. It might be helpful to have them kind of near the top of the mat. And then from your tabletop position, as you're ready, we'll step the right foot forward between the hands. Stay nice and low in your lunge, and this is one place that the blocks might come in handy, maybe to bring the floor a little closer. And then from here, lift the back knee up, and then imagine that you're pressing that back heel back. Find a stretch for the back line of the leg. And you might play around here as well with the hips. Maybe you're adding more pressure by lifting the hips up a little bit, or you can change the angle by dipping the hips. So just play around and see what feels like a nice stretch through the back of the left leg. And breathe into it for a few deep breaths. Awesome. And then as you're ready, you can lower the left knee down to the floor. If you want to pat it, then go for it. You can have the toes tucked or untucked. And you can start to walk the hands in just a little bit and start to lift the chest up. You could also find a higher setting with your blocks. Or if it feels accessible, then you might bring one hand and then the other to the front thigh. You can let the pelvis dip here a little bit. Find some length through the spine, some space across the chest. You might close down the eyes and challenge balance here. Straight away, if things feel really wobbly, you're welcome to keep the eyes open. You could also heel toe the right foot a few inches to the right to make a more stable foundation for yourself. Awesome. And from here, we're going to lift the arms up towards the ceiling. So you might need to back out very slightly from your stretch just to find a little more stability for the hips and a little more strength in the legs. Arms can reach up towards the ceiling, find just a little softness for the shrug muscles. And then we'll flow here. So take a deep inhale. You might reach the fingertips up. As you exhale, twist toward the right and bring the arms down to a T shape. Your version of this, inhale, reach up, back to center, and twist same side. 5 more with your breath, your pace, a range of motion that feels good for you. Final one. Inhale, reach up, and bring the fingertips to the floor. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then we'll pivot the back heel to the floor. And take the hands off the top left-hand corner of the mat, and then back out of the legs just enough that you can lift the hips a little higher. It's okay if the right knee isn't as deeply bent as it was before. And then as the hips come up, imagine a downward slope through the spine, letting the head be heavy. You can keep the hands walking away from you, palms pressing the floor away. Notice where the hips are here. Sometimes there's a tendency to let the hips fall back, so see if you can still keep the foundation kind of in midline. Think of a warrior 2 shape for the legs. Awesome. You can slowly start to walk the hands in. You might find your blocks or you can work from fingertips. Now take the hands to the middle of the mat, extend the right leg, and then pivot those right toes in. And check in here for a couple of breaths so you can stay in the halfway lift shape. Give the backs of the legs a nice stretch. Maybe stretch out the spine here as well. It might feel better to set up with movement, in which case you might point the toes out a little bit and you can alternate bending one knee, stretching the opposite leg, and then the other. Doing this until the hips feel ready for the shape. When you do feel ready, we'll set up for a fold. So if you need more time with movement, then feel free to do that. If you're coming with me for the fold, set up your foundation and then gently start to hinge and let the spine get heavy. And see where the arms want to be. They can stay on your props. You can bring the hands to the legs, or if you want to find a bind, then go for it. Make sure you're still breathing. Awesome. If you're folded over the legs, then gently make your way back up. You can bring your blocks with you here. Now we'll turn all 10 toes towards the back of the mat and crawl yourself into a lunge. You can lower the back knee just to set yourself up. And then when you feel ready, we'll lift that back knee up. And find a stretch for the back line of the right leg. So see where you want the hips to be, a little higher, a little lower. See what gives you the best access to that stretch. And then breathe here for a few deep breaths. Awesome. If the knee is lifted, you can bring it down and then see you can tuck or untuck the toes. And check in with the shape here. If there's anything you need to adjust, then go for it. And then slowly start to lift the torso a little more upright, maybe coming to a higher block setting, or one at a time, bring the hands onto that front thigh. Let the pelvis be nice and heavy here. Let the spine start to stretch up, find a little space for the chest. Check in to see if any part of the body could use a little more support here, and feel free to make any adjustments. And breathe. All right. We're going to set up to lift the arms up. So if you need to back out of that stretch a little bit to find a little more power and strength, then go for it. Maybe think about reaching the arms up towards the ceiling. And soften those shrug muscles in the shoulders. Keep the back of the neck nice and long here. And deep inhale. And twist to the left. Exhale. Inhale up through center. And same side. 4 more times. Inhale. And exhale. One more bonus one. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, reach up. Bring the hands down to the blocks or to the floor. Lift the back knee up and then spin the right heel to the floor. Right toes point right. You can start to walk the hands off the top right corner of the mat now. And check in. You can use your blocks or you can have the palms flat. But back out of the hips just enough that you can let the spine slope downwards. Keep the feet pressing into the floor to keep the hips in space. Keep the hands anchoring you to the floor as well. Let the spine be heavy. Let the head be heavy. Awesome. And then slowly start to walk the hands back in, maybe with your blocks. Walk the hands to the middle of the mat, spin the left foot in, and then check in here, see what would feel good. You're welcome to stay in more of a halfway lift shape. You can move side to side, you can fold straight away. If being in a fold isn't working for you right now, then feel free to find a squat instead. Awesome. When you feel ready, slowly make your way back to your halfway lift shape. You can bring one or both of your props along. And then from here, we'll spin the right foot to point back towards the top of the mat. The left foot can stay as it is. Start to bring your torso forward. We'll set up for extended side angle shape. So you can set up the right hand just to the inside of the right foot, hand roughly underneath the shoulder, and then start to lift that left shoulder up. Maybe it's stacking on top of the right. Left arm can reach towards the ceiling or towards the front of the room. You could also find a half bind if that feels better for the shoulder. Imagine that length from the left heel to the crown of the head. If you want more power here, you can think about making that left hand, or right hand rather, a little softer on its support. Awesome. You can stay right here, or if you want to come with me for half moon, maybe switch to a higher setting for the prop. You can lift the body up part way, hop the back foot in a little bit, and then take the right hand maybe about a foot in front of the right foot. And start to transfer your weight forward into that right hand. Think about lifting the left leg up behind. Think about lifting and stacking that left hip on top of the right. Left foot is strong like you're stomping the wall behind. Left hand can stay at the hip. You can reach it towards the ceiling. And if there's anything else you need to adjust, then go for it. But most importantly, make sure you're still breathing here. All right, wherever you are, if the left foot is lifted, then we'll slowly bring it back down to the floor. Slowly come all the way up, extend the front leg towards straight, and then reverse triangle left hand somewhere to the left leg. Right arm can reach up and over. Find a good stretch from the right toes to the right fingertips. Breathe here. Inhale, come on up, and then right foot can turn in. Find your blocks and hinge halfway down. Listen to your body here, especially that right hip. After half moon, maybe it needs something specific. You could come back to pointing the toes out and then rocking the hip side to side a few times. You can come straight to a fold or maybe squat pose. Be wherever you need to be. Awesome. If you're in a fold with me, come to your halfway lift shape. Maybe hands find your blocks. Spin the left foot out now, left toes point towards the new front of the mat, and you can start to walk your hands in that direction too. The right foot stays roughly as it is, left hand to the inside of the left foot. Think about pressing down the left hand. Think about that length from the crown of the head to that right foot, pinky toe edge. Right hand behind you, towards the ceiling, towards the front. Find your version of extended side angle. Find the power in the shape. Find that stability through the legs, that length through the spine. Awesome. You're welcome to stay exactly as you are. Or if you're coming with me to half moon, maybe a higher setting for your prop. You can hop the back foot in so that you can step that left hand forward And then think about bringing the weight forward onto the front foot as you lift the right leg behind you. Right hip stacks on top of the left. Really anchor down through that left foot, maybe through the left hand. Find that length from the right heel to the crown of the head. Breathe. Awesome. When you're ready, slowly lower the right foot back down. Slowly extend the front leg. Right hand to the right hip somewhere. Reach up and over. Reverse triangle. Find a deep stretch through the whole left side. Awesome. Deep breath. Come all the way up with an inhale. And then spin the left foot in. You can hinge your way down. And then listen to your body. See where you need to be. Rock the hips side to side. Come to a forward fold. Eventually we'll meet in squat. So you can head straight there if that's what you need. Awesome. If you're in a forward fold, you can slowly start to make your way out. Maybe coming into that halfway lift point. And then from here, you can start to heel toe the feet a little bit closer together. And point the toes out to an angle, start to bend the knees, and we'll come and find a squat. Listen to your body as you head into squat and find the version that feels best. So maybe hands stay down, maybe hands come to prayer. Maybe you want to support the heels here or something else. If the elbows are pressing the knees apart, create just enough resistance with the knees pressing in so that you can find that sense of stability through the pelvis. And then from there, maybe you can grow the spine nice and tall. Notice if the shoulders are shrugging or curling in. See what you can do to bring them back and down. If you have a tendency to stick the chin forward, maybe tuck in the chin towards the throat, lengthen the back of the neck, and then maybe close down the eyes as well. Awesome. And gently release one hand and then the other behind you, and lowering the hips down to the floor. Maybe keep the feet nice and wide and give yourself a windshield wiper side to side. And from your windshield wiper, the next time the knees come down to the right, we'll pause here. So setting up for deer pose, or sometimes called 90-90. Right shin mostly parallel to the right edge or top edge of the mat, left shin mostly parallel to the left edge. And then see what this feels like here. If it feels like you're leaning quite a bit over towards the right, then you might choose to support that hip with your soft block. You can also change the angles of the pose. So if this feels just like wrong in the hips, then you can play with bringing one foot a little closer to the body or both feet. And then check in here, see where it feels best to fold. So more towards the knee, towards the foot, or towards the shin in the middle. So play around and see what feels like the best stretch for today. If you need to bring the floor a little bit closer, your blocks are nearby, so maybe one for each elbow, or if you have a spare one, you might choose that one for the forehead. If you do start to feel pinching or any kind of pain, then gently back out of the shape. Otherwise, as you're ready, find your stillness here. Notice the gentle flow of your breath. Gently supported by the hands, start to lift yourself back up. If you have a prop under the right hip, you can remove it. Let the hip sink back, and then find a gentle windshield wiper side to side. The next time the knees come down towards the left, we'll pause, setting up for the second side here. So play around, see what props you have around, see what you can do to make the shape feel a little more comfortable, help things feel a little more steady and even. And then this side, you may need something different to the first side as far as the stretch or as far as the shape, so play around. And then do you want to fold over the knee, over the shin, or more towards the foot? See what feels best for this side and choose that. Settling into your shape as you feel ready. Notice if there's some tension starting to build somewhere. And for these last few deep breaths, see if there's anything you don't need that you can soften here. Awesome. As you feel ready to come up, and supporting yourself with the hands first, making your way up, and if you have a soft block, you can move it, and coming back onto the hips and find that gentle windshield wiper side to side. Awesome. When you're ready, you can let the legs go, give the knees a little bit of a tap, the feet a little swish side to side. And then find your soft block, and you can come to sit up off of the edge of it. We'll take the right leg underneath, so crossing, pointing that right knee forward, right foot near the left hip, and then step the left foot just outside the right knee. And if this foundation doesn't work for you, feel free to straighten out the bottom leg instead. You can take the left hand behind you, reach the right arm towards the ceiling, take a deep inhale. As you exhale, twist towards the left. You can stay high if you like. You can hook the elbow to the knee any way you like. And then keep that length going in the spine. Notice if either shoulder is shrugging, see if you can even them out. If the floor is a little far away with the left hand, feel free to bring a block underneath. And then breathe into your twist. Gently unravel yourself back to center and take a counter twist. Awesome. And coming back up, release the legs and we'll switch straight to the second side. So right leg underneath and left foot steps to the outside of the right knee. This foundation or whatever works best for you instead. Right hand behind, left arm to the ceiling, deep inhale. And twist to the right as you exhale. This side may need to be a little different to the first, so play around and see what works best here. Keep that length going in the spine, that softness through the shoulders. Maybe the gaze is turning over that right shoulder. Awesome. Gently unravel yourself back to center and then take your counter twist. And then return to center, release the legs, give them a good shake out, a good tap. And then we'll swing the legs around, come to a tabletop position, and then look around for your hard blocks. Stack them together, and then from your tabletop, have the knees almost all the way together, and then separate the feet a little bit wider. Bring the blocks between the ankles to make yourself asleep, and then slowly lower the hips down onto them. I like to start off with more height than I think I need, just to check in and see what this feels like. And then if it's accessible, you can remove one. You could remove both blocks. So mindful, especially with the knees here, but also hips, ankles, everything else. If there's anything else you want to adjust, if you want to even play with taking the feet a little bit further apart for more internal rotation, just listen to your body and make sure whatever you're choosing works for you. Think about lengthening the spine here, keeping it nice and tall. Some softness through the shoulders. Notice if there's anywhere else that needs just a little extra support or any final adjustment. And then if it feels okay to close down the eyes, go for it. Find your stillness here. You can choose stillness for a little while longer. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you can gently come back out to your tabletop position. Moving your blocks out of the way, and from here we'll lower all the way down onto the belly. We're going to set up for Sphinx pose, but if you need a little movement here first, then go for it. Maybe rocking the heels or anything else to release the legs. And when you feel ready, you can bring the elbows roughly underneath the shoulders, the knees, wherever feels the most comfortable. And so if having the feet a little bit more separate or a little more together works, then listen to that. You can let the heels be nice and soft here as well if they want to flop a little bit. Listen to the spine, listen to the low back. And if you need to soften the pose, you can walk the elbows further forward. If you want more intensity, maybe you're bringing the elbows onto your blocks. Find that length through the spine. Maybe close down the eyes here. Awesome. And if you need a little more time here, you're welcome to stay. Otherwise, slowly let the elbows come apart as you lower the chest down toward the floor, maybe resting the forehead on the palms, maybe giving the hips a little rock side to side. And from here, you might scoot the hips a little bit over to the right. And then you can bend the left knee up to the left. Take the right foot over towards the bottom left of the mat. And then you might take the torso a little bit towards the top left of the mat. And you can keep the elbows bent, or if you prefer to have one or both arms extended here, then go for it. Imagine a stretch through the right side of the body. So from the right ankle, maybe up to the right elbow. And then gently make your way back into center. You can extend the left leg long. Scoot the hips over towards the right edge now. Or the left edge, sorry. And then the right knee can reach up towards the right. Left foot towards the bottom right. And maybe the torso towards the top right. Listen to your body. If there's any pinching or anything like that going along, then just make any adjustment that you need. Otherwise, find your stillness here. As you feel ready, you can bring the body back to center. Re-extending the right leg, and then give the hips a little movement. Give the heels a gentle rock. And then any way you like, you can flip yourself onto your back. It might feel nice to take one last windshield wiper here, so maybe feet wide apart, knees gently rocking side to side. And then check in here, see if there's any last movement or shape that your body's asking for. Maybe another visit to Happy Baby or something else. Otherwise, as you feel ready, you can start to set yourself up for your rest pose. For Shavasana today, you can find any comfortable symmetrical shape for the body. Legs extended, you can come back to butterfly. If you'd rather rest in a seat or even in child's pose, then go for it. And take your time making any adjustments you need. And start to soften your breath back to its natural inhale and exhale. And let the body start to get heavy here. Embrace the quiet and find your rest. Gently start to deepen the breath to reawaken the body. Invite some movement to return, maybe wiggling the fingers and the toes, maybe circling the wrists and the ankles. If you'd like a full body stretch, reach the arms to the floor overhead, point the toes, maybe wiggle the hips and the shoulders. And then you might bring the knees into the chest and wrap the arms around the shins, lift the forehead to the knees, and give yourself a hug and a rock. You might roll down to one side and take a pause there for a couple of breaths. And then, supported by the hands, come up to find any comfortable seated position. You can use any of your props for support. Settle the hips, gently lengthen the spine, a little softness for the shoulders. And take a scan from the feet to the head and just notice. Perhaps connecting the hands at the heart and bowing the chin towards the chest. Thank you for sharing your breath and your energy today. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Hatha Practice, and my name is Nicholas. If you have any questions, please reach out, and enjoy the rest of your week.